Hey, this is the Daily Overpass. My name is Eric and I make apps. Now today let's ask the question, how important is experience when hiring an app developer?
If I take you down, would you really hold me down and be your best friend? She just wanna hit me with a quickie by the pool and I'm like, yes ma'am. Way you got me fiending for your body, you might turn me to a yes man. Oh yeah. 80 and I'm 40, I'm a nervous bitch, I'm flyer than your ex man. We ain't gotta go outside. Two-step in the rain. Wake up by my side. Don't care what you can say.
Okay, today let's run a hypothetical. Let's say you're going to hire an app developer, right? And you have two different candidates. You have one candidate who has 20 years software development experience, you know, a senior guy like me. And you have another candidate who has 3 years software development experience, right? If money were no object and both candidates were asking the same amount of money, which one would you hire? Now, if you're a software developer, you might be thinking, that's not enough information. The guy with 20 years experience might be working on other things that are completely unrelated, and the guy with 3 years experience may have been laser focused on the technology I'm looking after. But if you're not a software developer, you would be saying, well, 3 years, 20 years, I'd always say go with a guy with 20 years experience, right? This is one of the things you have to think about if you're ever looking for a job as a software developer is how do you quantify some of the things that might not be quantifiable? Right? I was looking at a website the other day for another app development company, and one of their headlines was, we have over 10 years app development experience, right? Which might not seem like a lot, but when you consider the App Store has only been around for 10 years, that is pretty good. But as a software developer myself, I was not impressed with that. I'll be more impressed with if I saw some code samples, if I saw what technologies they use, what's the most recent technology they use, and so forth. And if you've ever worked in a software house or you work with other software developers, you know there are developers who they may have 10 years experience, but they haven't learned anything new in the last 5. They're just going through the motions. And then you know someone else who's like just has a couple years experience and they're just deep into it. They're reading everything they can. They're learning everything they can. They're constantly coding and they're razor sharp, right? So someone like, for me, let's go back to my experience here. 20 years software development experience. A large part of that, at least 3, 4, 5 years was like VB5, VB6, Visual Basic 5, Visual Basic 6. None of that will help anybody. But you know what the experience will help? I know how to error handle. I know that error handling is important. I know when things go wrong. I know things to look out for. But all of that is not necessarily related to the code, right? If you were going to hire somebody to learn Flutter, I'm not your guy because I've never used Flutter and I'm just getting started on it and I don't have the experience, whereas somebody has 3 years experience and they're just using Flutter and they've released all kinds of apps and they're putting things out there, they would be better. Right? And going back to the price, right? A lot of times when people are hiring software developers, they'll assume that the person who costs more is better than the person who costs less because they think we run by some sort of scale. But that's usually not the case either. One person could charge more and be less experienced, and one person could charge less and be more experienced. There was one time I was working a contract with someone, and he was so good. He may have been the best software developer I've ever worked with, right? And we were both working the same contract. He's the one who got me the job, right? So, because we'd worked before on previous jobs, so one night at the pub, we're talking, and we mentioned our day rates as contractors, and I was getting paid more than he was. And I had no idea how that could possibly be. I thought, you are so much better at this than I am. You know, you're so much more talented, everything like that. I mean, I don't think I probably should have told him that because it probably was resentful afterwards. But you know, I was making more money than him, and it was just because I asked, just because I think it was a self-confidence thing. I once had somebody tell me that the ideal software developer to hire is somebody with high skill and low self-confidence because they don't know what they're worth yet, which sounded so Machiavellian to me. It sounded terrible, but in a way it's true. When I'm looking for a software developer, I'm looking for somebody who's just, the years of experience don't matter to me so much. It's more, even if it's a short amount of experience, how focused is that experience? If they're only working with one technology, for example, I don't need somebody who pitches themselves as, I know Android, but I also know PHP. Because most of the time I don't need the PHP, right? But it's kind of nice to have a little bit of development experience. A lot of these things transfer from one language to another, like functions and encapsulation and everything like that. So anyway, my message today for those of you guys who are looking for software development jobs is think about how you can quantify that. On your CV, you know what I had on my CV for many years was I had unique selling points. So you could say, I have this many years software experience, I've released this many apps, I have this many downloads across so many stores, and I have all that. And you have like an executive summary at the top of your CV, and then you have the jobs that are listed, right? A lot of the candidates I look at when I'm hiring somebody or when I'm hiring somebody for other organizations, their CVs are just really bad because they lack that self-confidence and that self-promotion. So it's something to think about. You know, if you were going through, like this company, like I said, I see a website, their headline says, this company, we have over 10 years app development experience. That was something quantifiable they could do there. They didn't just say, we make apps, you know, like I do. They had something quantifiable, and if you're looking at that compared to others and you don't know anything about software development, you might go more towards that. So anyway, just some thoughts for today. You know, experience to me doesn't matter as much as it might do to other people who don't know better, but it is important in some ways, but not in every way. So anyway, that's my thoughts for today. What do you guys think? Do you disagree? You might too. Anyway, that's it for today. I will talk to you guys again tomorrow.